Going on, everybody? It's Marcus from TCG Discussions coming out with a tier list video. This tier list maker has everything up to 09. You can see down here. We're not going to be talking about these leaders, but we will in general be talking about, well, we're basically going to, I guess we can pseudo talk about these. I get, pseudo. We'll, put it down, just put them down here, I guess. Let's move them to the banned section where they deserve to be for their filthy deeds that they're gonna impose upon the game. But we don't have these leaders yet here, and for One Piece TCG for us in America in the West, this is still stuff in the East. I don't have enough play testing into any of these enough to tell you that where they are in the tier list, but I know that they're good. Did this once before, felt that I was a little bit harsh in my critiques of decks people may want to play. So upon review, we're doing it over again. We have S, which is meta, A, which is meta adjacent. So this is a meta deck, but it's good, but it's not great. It's gonna win. This is gonna win a lot of the time. This is can win some of the time, but it's definitely better than everything else. B struggles in the meta. These are decks that have a lot of good tools that the meta has and meta adjacent has, but they just don't play them as well. C can see this is win locals. You can take this deck to win your locals. D is rogue and E is not playable, and then we got our band. Obviously got Sakazuki Law. We're not gonna talk about anything from 09. Zoro, in 08, dude, this dude's meta. He's S tier busted. There are so many games where I've lost to this playing Lucci and they still have 5 life. It's just so difficult for you to beat this matchup. If they open up, they can open up a number of ways well, and it doesn't even matter how much you KO because the board just completely gets replaced. Red Green Law. This is basically a worse Zoro right now. He can play the NL package, but between the Supernova stuff and the NL package, it's too big for him to play. So he's really in a weird spot because Zoro's just outright the better aggro deck. Red Green Luffy, he's rogue. Odin, not playable. Dofi, S tier meta. Guy's really broken. He's gonna get better with the structure deck. He's probably consistently the stupidest deck to play. I think Calgara kind of keeps up with him, but because he's blue, he has access to Gravity Blade, and Calgara can't have yellow just doesn't have a tool like that. No other deck in the game does. So it's super unfortunate. I mean, purple kind of does with the new Hakai Sovereignty or something, Hokaku Sovereignty or something like that, but so purple can do something, but this guy really can't, so it's kind of sad. Blurple Kaido, he's not playable. It's not even rogue, he's just not playable. Then I'm gonna put this guy, Yerpal Kraken Rogue. King, not playable. Seen a lot of people trying to play this a couple weeks ago. It's not very good. Whitebeard, B tier, struggles in the meta. The problem with Whitebeard is that even with the stuff that he gets in the structure deck, I think Marco's just gonna be better. And blue is rampant, so he just gets puddinged and his whole game plan is shot. Garp struggles in the meta, but still somewhat kind of good. I'm actually gonna move him down here. He may win locals. I don't think he's up here. I could be wrong about this. This is a leader that I'm kind of unsure of. I've ran into a couple people, and what he does seems to be pretty cool, but I'm not too sure about this guy. Kiamon's terrible. Sanji's terrible. Ivankov is rogue. Magellan is terrible. Magellan could be good, but his whole thing is just not very great. This guy's rogue. Black Maria helps him a lot. And I think that, like, he's got some good things going for him. So, yeah. Smoker, meta adjacent. He's not the greatest right now, but, like, post-structure deck, I'm actually going to say he's going to struggle in the meta because of the ST14 Luffy. We'll move him down here. We'll put him at the top. He's, like, right there. Ace. It's Rogue. Kuro is not playable. Arlong, not playable. I don't give a crap. I'm going to be harsh about this one. I'm tired of running into this leader. He's a gimmick leader with, like, actually, like, no skill. He's like everyone who plays this guy, it's like, man, I just wish you just stop playing this leader. One day he will be good, but honestly, I fear the day that he's good because, like, yellow-green already has, like, a really lot of broken triggers, and I'm not excited to see that. Nami, meta adjacent. She fell out of S tier in this set because of these two decks for sure. They just, like, are way too fast, and blue is really strong into her anyway, but, like, Animal Zoro just beats her face in. Doesn't matter. Iceberg, Rogue. Like, not the good Black Lucci, Rogue. Not playable. Probably should go Rogue. He's probably playable. Yellow Black Mom. Katakuri can win locals. A lot of people are hype on Kata right now. And this is probably, like, my coat pick of, like, leaders that could probably be higher. But I really hate playing against this leader. I'm really mad that they gave him a structure deck. And I'm even more mad that, like, people just won't, like, let him die. There are so many other better yellow leaders than him. And yet they still just want to swing 7 all day and, like, try to get to Big Mom. But for sure, like, the reason why, like, he is not, like, competitive, like, aside from the fact that we have, like, a lot of, and this is just my opinion, but aside from the fact that we have a lot of aggro removal, Pudding is just strictly better than him. Pudding wins this matchup free. I just don't even know why you'd bother playing this leader anymore when Pudding exists, because playing 10 Mom while still having access to the best cards of yellow and ramping your way up there is just insane. Vivi, she's meta adjacent. We're going to set this guy and win locals for now, but I think he's getting some support. Vivi's really strong. She's blue. I'm going back to her for a second. But Vivi's really strong. She draws a lot of cards. She's blue, and she can put some pressure on with some really strong bodies. Isho, Rogue, Rebecca, meta adjacent. She may be good. I don't know how good. There's some testing that I think needs to be done, but she could be good. Queen is Rogue. Laker Croc is Rogue. Stop playing this leader, please. I hate seeing this leader on the sim. Sabo is not playable, dude. This is so copium, man. I see so many people trying to make Sabo good. But, like, you just need to look at this leader right here and realize that he will never be good. Blue has Gravity Blade. His effect doesn't protect anything. And he's a 4-life leader that tries to be as good as ST14, Luffy, or Gecko, or Lucci. Like, he just tries too hard. And even if you try to run the Animal Kingdom stuff that Zoro does, his effect doesn't protect most of the package. So, like, he's just not good. He's not in a good spot. And I just don't know why, like, people keep trying to, like, make him good or say that he's good. Bella Betty may win locals. She's really annoying, and she's got, like, a lot of really strong trigger tools that just keep going at her. They're pretty more revolutionary cards. So, yeah. Resonante. Shout out to you, Brayden. May win locals. This guy's got a really good color combination, and his effect is pretty annoying. Because basically, like, you can force your opponent to give you cards and not starve you. He can also play Zoro and Grav Blade. Like, if I pitch that to you, like, that should be just about all you need to hear about him. This deck is, like, really close to being able to adapt in a really positive way. And the 8-cost Resonante, plus, like, a lot of the other really good and strong green tools are really nice. He, unfortunately, doesn't have access to Cavendish, but, like, Sanji into Rosinante into another 5 cost like Carrot can still be really powerful. So I think that there's a place possibly for him, but I'm not really sure. So I'm going to put him in can win locals. Purple Luffy, this is one that I was way too harsh on in my first video, so I'm going to like be very careful about this. This leader is like not good, okay? There's several reasons. His effect takes a life, and against this deck right here, and these 2 decks specifically, you just might as well sign your death sentence. And there's another aggro deck that's up here in S tier that just beats his face in. Blue particularly has Grab Blade, so everything that this guy's trying to do doesn't work. And furthermore, like 5 life leaders like Dofi that can counter, put like, they play ulti page 1 and you have to Dawn minus and take a life to basically do it and secure the fact that you're still on the right curve. This guy literally gets to do it with just playing Jinbei Weevil, drawing a card and like not taking a life. And against Dofi, that's basically a death sentence. And I can't say this enough, it's the same for Zoro. Other aggro decks just basically take Purple Luffy out of the meta. And Black doesn't even struggle into him anymore with Magellan due to the fact that many people are playing Book and we have 9 cost Kaido now. We can flat trash most of your deck. Flat trash it. He does have some good hard finishing matchups, like in To Be Why Luffy with Gear 5, but that's only if you're playing Gear 5. So for that reason, he may win locals. That's about it. And now, S tier. This guy is not going anywhere in 08. I've got a heal build that is literally insane and is like completely undefeated, I think, so far on the sim. And to be honest with you, this leader's effect is probably too broken to never not be good. Unfortunately, like, Pudding is really strong. And he fights well into Vegapunk as well. But he also survives well against Blue, but Pudding is annoying. And he does actually beat Zoro. So there's just a lot like you can do with him. Red, Purple, Uda. Rogue. Hody. May win locals. This guy is getting a lot of support indirectly and people kind of really don't realize. This guy has now access to Luna Lightning and Carrot with the effect of like Hody Jones tapping cards and it not costing him life. Like, you need to realize how serious that is. Against most leaders, they have to take a life to play Hody. He does not, and you can Luna Lightning the whole board and Hody taps 2 cards. Or Dawn. Furthermore, he is, like I said, he now has access to Carrot as, like, another card that's, like, super good. And he can play, like, anti-black tools alongside. Like, he doesn't have to play his package. Now, obviously, you want to play parts of it because there's lots of good stuff. But this deck is, like, really close to, like, actually starting to creep up here. A lot of people really don't realize, like, how good this leader can be. Perona, she's S tier. I'm going to slide her on down here. This deck is insane. And the world champion said it's the best deck, and then I think he got creamed when he went to Europe. But I kind of agree with him. This deck is actually like legitimately crazy. And I think she gets even more broken with Jack. I want you to picture this. If I had to ask you if there was a deck that could play Gecko Moria, would you play it? And you'd probably say yes. Now, if I had another deck that said that same deck could also play 9-cost Zoro, would you say yes to playing it? I'd say yes. And that's pretty much all you need to know. She gets so many value plays and draws so many cards, making this leader very, like, bad comparatively. Basically due to the fact that, like, yes, they're both 4-life leaders, but it's what she does as a leader that just outdwarfs him by a long shot. Her ability to essentially say, your 4-cost just gets completely tapped, and then Ryuma pops it is crazy. Now, while Isho does have some effects, all of his effects cost on. Hers are all free. So the color combination, even though they're the same and they have the same amount of life, it's completely different. and your ability to like rest cards and just flat remove blockers and swing for game is just too much. She has several positive matchups into the meta, not the least of including Black Yellow Luffy, which is crazy. The problem is that she struggles hard into Lucci, and there's no real way to like make that matchup ground up, unfortunately. He just KOs too many cards while playing Gecko and playing too many cards. She's removing one, he's removing two, eventually. And Zoro, basically, there's never time to play him, which really hurts. Her advantage, though, is that she does draw a lot of cards, and she can make up for that with that card advantage. Other than that, not a whole lot to say. Yamato may win locals. Actually, we're going to put her in Rogue. I want this leader to be good. We'll put her at the top of Rogue. I want her to be good so bad. She just unfortunately loses the blockers, and just about every top deck plays blockers. Dofi blocker. Plays the Shirahoshi blocker in some list. Chopper blocker. Borsalino Sabo. I mean, and she just doesn't do anything, man. Like, she's trying. There's so much you can try and do with her, and she just feels like she falls flat. Reiju, S tier. The more I play this deck, the more like fair I think she is. And then there's games where I think that she's like the most broken deck in the game. It's really hard to really gauge her. She has some inconsistency pieces going for her for sure. A lot like the Black Yellow Luffy issue, you need the pieces to align in order for it to go right. However, she can consistently do that more. But when it does align, you are literally better than almost any deck in the game, and it's not close. The only struggle matchup I think she has really is Bonnie. A lot of people will try and argue Lucci, but it's really hard for you to argue that when they open Porsche EGG and there's just basically nothing you can do anymore for the rest of the game. Because before you can, it's like going to take you 7 Dawn to get to Jack before you can do anything. And so it's just really difficult. She can put you in a lot of positions, and she's blue and can play pudding, so she's really good at Nanami. And Gion as well. Gecko. Meta adjacent, but at the top. Gecko Moria, unfortunately, is replaced in the meta for single KO by ST14 Luffy. ST14 Luffy is a deck that actually has legs, and unfortunately for Gecko, you know, he's just been getting outshined by like the next best black deck to come out. And it's just really hard for him to keep up. I mean, now, like, even Perona is better than he is in single target KOing. And furthermore, like, she generates way more cards than he does. And almost the advantage that he gets off of a Gecko pales in comparison to what she's drawing almost every turn. Furthermore, like, his game plan of, like, recurring cards out of the trash, and even though he has, like, some things that can go well for him while doing so, it's just, like, it feels suboptimal when Lucci just gets to, like, wreck everything you do. So, I don't know. I'm going to try to, like, make a meta list for him. Like, he could be really insane, and I'm just, like, missing something. But it just really feels that every time that I play this leader and I run into Rob Lucci, I'm getting, I Gecko for 2 cards, they Gecko for 5, get a blocker, blow up my entire board. And I'm stuck playing a value game that I'm just not winning. So, like, and the same thing with her. It just feels the same. And then they play like 9 cost Zoro, and if you don't have an out as Gecko right away, you just lose. Other Odin leader, Rogue. Honeybell, Rogue. Kyros, Rogue. These guys may shine at some point, like especially this one. This one's got some legs to him. But for now, I think that they're all pretty Rogue. Dragon, yeah, he's Rogue. Bonnie, Rogue. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely kidding. S tier. I'd probably put her about here. Yeah, that's about right. For the record, Perona is positive in Bonnie, if you didn't know. This S tier is probably like in descending order. Not to say that like one matchup doesn't like beat the other, but like Dofi's better than Bonnie, Zora's definitely better than Bonnie, Perona's better than Bonnie, so. But Bonnie, yeah, she's broken. She got Luna Lightning and 5-cost carrot with Rosinante. Being able to then play down the 5-cost carrot, you can free stunner cards, basically like a mini Dofi. And her effect also sets Carrot up very nicely. So there's a lot of synergy there. She's just basically always going to be able to abuse the best green cards in the game. Her only problem is this guy, Lucci, and Perona. Like, and Zoro. Like, anything that I'm putting above her, like, just basically beats her. Reiju also can basically beat any of these decks, but she struggles pretty hard too. So she'll be like back here. Boa, meta adjacent. I don't know why you'd play Boa over Dofi other than the draw effect, which is cool and everything. But Dofi just kills people, and sometimes I feel like with Boa you're losing because you're not killing fast enough. Foxy, we'll put Maywin locals. He got a lot better with Lawban. But Lucci exists, so I just don't really think that that's like much of a thing. We'll put Lucci about there. Seems about right. Rob Lucci is completely snapped in 08. Jack is like one of the most insane buffs to black I think I've ever seen, while simultaneously being like a card that, well, simultaneously like being a card that is anti-black. It's like kind of crazy. I was trying to think. However, he is not the only top black deck, and the other black deck that we're going to talk about here shortly actually craps on him in 08. Rob Lucci is about to have a horrible time, and furthermore, his like 08 is like this is the last hurrah for this leader, and I'm very sad about it. I think this Cypher poll is like really cool in the series, and I think that like Lucci and Luffy's like fights are completely iconic. But all that to say, he is still the most like he's still the best removal deck in the game, right? Like he is the best at making sure that there is no board. But he hard loses to ST14 Luffy, which we'll talk about here in a bit. Vegapunk. This dude's got legs. The dude got the support that he needed. And thank God, bro. This man has been struggling. Absolutely struggling. But he's finally here. He's arrived. Make no mistake. This guy is really good. Fast metas are not an excuse. So even this guy, not an excuse. He can passively stack his life and never play into this guy's stuff and then just blow up everything that he stands for along the way. He is really strong. So like even fast decks like somewhat struggle into him because like you basically get a lot of recycle out of Rayquaza, and not to mention free play basically to the board. What he loses to are decks that have high sustain, go tall, and can counter crack or remove his board. So like Rob Lucci is strong into him. Anel is strong into him. Bonnie is somewhat strong into him. It can kind of depend, because if his game plan goes on too long, she just basically falls completely behind. Like even Zoro will can fall behind her, and he can play Raigo. He can Raigo and essentially like heal up in the same turn, like, which is like kind of crazy. And then yeah, but he's got a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of stuff that's like really good for him. And I think that, you know, good old Vegapunk, a lot of people are going to be happy to see that I put him up this high. I think that he's just got some legs. He can double heal at 9, 10 Dawn with Yamato in his effect, which is just completely crazy. So like even if you hit him to 1, his board state can get extremely menacing. Decks that do not have removal, aka blue, I'm pointing this guy because like he's like yes, I do have Gravity Blade. Anyway, but like yeah, if they're not removing their bodies, this deck will just eventually run the game over. Chopper, we're gonna put Maywin locals. He's not bad, he's just worse than Zoro. Like, the animal stuff, like, really synergizes with his effect, but it's still not the same as, like, everyone getting a passive 1000 and getting Dawn allocated to them, so. Marco, we're going to put him at the top of meta adjacent. This guy will be S tier as soon as that Whitebeard structure deck gets out. Make no mistake, that 7-cost Newgate that he gets and that 5-cost Ace are busted in this leader. Especially the Newgate. The Newgate on curve is basically like this deck's version of Jack. Except for like the reason that's like even more cracked is it facilitates his effect. It's like when they made the Newgate structure deck, they thought of Marco and were like, yeah, we'll like give Newgate something cool, but he can never actually use it without another card. But we'll actually just make it good for Marco. So shouts to him. Carrot, we're going to put her in meta adjacent. The Mings package is actually kind of serious. A lot of people don't like, she's at the bottom. Actually, we'll put her at top of struggles in the meta. But she's got a lot of good things going for her. She can rest a 5 or less, which is more than what she can do. And she can stun all, like, low to the ground boards. Sorry, there's a mosquito in here, and it is attacking me. Like flying into my eye. Anyway, what was I saying? So anyway, Carrot has a lot of good things going for her. On top of that, the Minx, she can consistently search Carrot, which is crazy. And some of the Minx have like some really neat synergies. Like one of them is like a 2-cost. You can then untap your like Minx card on top of it. So like Carrot can attack twice, which is like pretty crazy. And then stun 2 cards and like Mini Dovi. And then Luna Lightning exists. So there's just a lot kind of going for her. Unfortunately, Bonnie exists and Bonnie is just like strictly better than her. But it's not like she doesn't have like her own identity and she's doing her own thing. And being able to rest a 5 or less in this meta is crazy. Like that's like half of like, that's like a Saba blocker against BY Luffy, for example. And she's green, which means she can play Zoro. So she has like lots of really neat tools. King. We're going to put it Maywin locals. This guy is really hard to crack. I mean really hard to crack. I just do not know a good list for him yet. The best thing I've seen is like ulti, page 1 into ulti into page 1 spam, which requires a specific set of cards. It's Dawn minus. His effect is also too costly. Like, you can't just like use his leader effect to -2 something or draw a card for the Dawn minus for the draw early in the game. And that's like kind of, I guess, the point. Like, they didn't want him to be broken. He does have access to Oni. And he does have access to, like, all the other ramp tools. But again, it's almost like when you're trying to do the ramp thing, you kind of fall behind to, like the black thing. Like, the black engine side kind of suffers. And it's just a really weird combination. Like, even, like, black-purple Luffy in 09, he has like some kind of like identity issues as to what he's doing. It's like mostly purple and like maybe some builds play Gecko, if not like all flat purple. Because like they'll play like maybe some of the black cards are like the 5-cost Sanji or Gecko Moria to like bring cards back, but like your Gecko looks like it's like freaking weird, man. It's like really freaking weird. So yeah, sorry, I almost swore there. Call myself. But S tier. This deck is broken. Fast decks, beware. Like, you have to exist, otherwise this is going to be like all the way up here. She is incredibly snapped. Yeah. This deck is broken. Ramping into twin cost Linlin is insane. Playing that on turn 4 is crazy. She solo destroyed Katakuri's chance at ever being meta relevant for the rest of his existence. There's nothing he could possibly get that doesn't say like add 2 Dawn immediately, like to the turn, that's gonna like help him. Her color combination is busted. All of her support is crazy. She gets to play the best yellow cards and play 10 cost Linlin. She will basically overheal. And if you have time to play the 10-12 Kaido Linlin, it's like completely snapped. Most decks in the game can't survive unless you're black and play Sabo. So yeah. Speaking of which, that reminds me, there's a cheeky tech with that and 10 cost Linlin. But anyway, that's for King. That's a story for another day. But I can't sing enough praises about this lady. It's kind of really hard to know where to put her among the meta, because like I have to play her more to like kind of see like where she fits, but she's definitely up here. She just has positions that are impossible for her. She can, like, when she gets to a certain point in playing, like for example, if you're not playing against Lucci and you're not playing against Blue, and they just cannot remove your 10 cost Linlins, and like you're playing them consecutively every turn, they'll lose. Like, they just lose. Like, they'll be going into 9 Dawn and you'll already have a Linlin and play a second one. Like, that's how crazy this deck can be if she sees her ramp. Calgra. Maybe. Kinda. Maybe. Kinda. Maybe. Yeah, we'll put him here for now. He's S tier. This deck is crazy, bro. This deck is crazy, bro. The Sky Island Native Americans are here, my dudes. And I am here to tell you that they have booted the god out of the top yellow deck in the meta. This deck is crazy, bro. This deck is hyper consistent. It puts out way too many bodies. Holy is gotta be one of the most depressing things you can see, because they didn't just play Holy, they probably played a 5-7 or 6-8 next to that Holy. And then next turn, when they go to do some shenanigans again, they're gonna do so while like playing another 6-8. And this deck's defense in the late game is crazy. With Elthor, the Shindarin Warrior one, and the Blaze Slice giving you like making you basically a 6k for the turn, or using it offensively to rest a blocker, is nuts. You can literally beat the dog trash out of your opponent. This guy is so aggressive that like, if you see your Mont Blanc Nolans, okay, this deck cannot win the game. Like, you literally, like, you can't, because the cards you put at the board when he swings at you and you counter out, you counter crack with cards that are way bigger than the animal cards. And his recovery is almost as strong. So, yeah, this guy is nuts. Mark my words, this deck is going to get a top 16, top 8 for sure. Like, this deck is crazy, bro. Structure Luffy, Rogue, Kid, Rogue, Croc, Tenryubito, Iabe, whatever your name is, Rogue. Kaido, struggles in the meta. Yeah, he's good. Like, he is. I actually have a list that I've basically been playing for like the last 4 hours on him. I'm trying to get him to like break through. He might even actually be meta adjacent. Like the bottom of meta adjacent. Like for example, I have thoroughly thrashed all of these decks with him. Like I just beat a carrot like an hour ago. I depressingly destroyed a red purple law, red green law. So here's what's crazy. In fact, let me just pull up the list because I have it pulled up here for the music in the background. Good old Kaido load. This is what we're kind of working with. There's lots of things on my testing. Like you see me testing Poly, Ninelin. This has actually helped me win a few games. This card's pretty crazy. This one Bond Clay like actually won me a pudding game earlier. So a card that I might increase, I don't know. King is just always busted, and it's like Poly's supposed to be like another king. Like we can king and then like we can play Poly and then ramp up for the Dawn Minus that we lost, even though we have Oni. Point being, the name of the game of this deck is Control, and you get basically blockers. Like you can play like Kid Blocker, this, and then Dawn -7, and then you're gonna get refunded a Dawn. So you spend 8 Dawn, and you're gonna get 3 to swing for 8. This card is a kind of like a emergency reset button. It's really crazy. There are whole decks that lose because this card exists. I just actually beat a BY Luffy player like 30-40 minutes ago because of this card. His board was literally like Sabo, 5-cost Luffy, Kuzan. And I was stalling him out, and I played like a couple Ninelins, healed a life, put like a 4-cost Kuzan, put a Sabo at the bottom. And after he put the 5-cost Luffy on to start taking his life, I Kaido'd his board, and this 12-cost card just stared at him. I had like 10 cards in hand, and then I, on the following turn, I went 12-12 and took every single card but one. He somehow had Gecko and then drew Gecko, and then pitched the Gecko to play the Gecko. And then I forget what I did. I did something. He took me down. I like blockered up, and then had like 10 cards with counter in hand, and then like just basically lived. And then he didn't have any replay factor because he had 1 card in hand, and he used it to heal 2 life. Unfortunately for him, this effect exists. So he had no cards in hand, no blocker, and he was a 5K. So I literally just swung 5 at him, and then Dawn -7 and trash his last life. And then I hit him with the good old business here for 15. This card is crazy. So, and it's, the thing is like we're not even relying on this card, but we played at 3 just to see it. And the reason is because this is the main key point. I'm probably talking too much about Kaido compared to everything else, but the fact that you can Dawn -7 and then just get 5 back, get 1 of this off of Kid, and then ramp another with Oni, and just basically get 7 Dawn back immediately is crazy. So that's like the easy math, right? So 1, 2, 5 is 7. And that's like the whole point. And slow decks die to this leader. Like, she is not going to have a fun time. She is not going to have a fun time. He does not have a fun time at all. His board gets wide, and then 10-12 Kaido comes down and just wipes it right off the face of the earth. You play blockers too. You have King to pop like the Lilith. You can still swing 7 and pressure their life, and then you can flat trash their life. Like, the ability to see Rayquaza just get trashed is just really, really bad for him. Gecko's basically the same thing. Marco's a little bit 50-50. She's a little bit iffy. Like, you need Bond Clay to even like win the matchup, and so on and so forth. Like, So he can do some stuff. I took this guy down to the wire. Same thing for a lot of these people. So he can compete. He's not terrible. He's just missing something. I don't know what it is. This is not playable. Shanks is not playable. This is Rogue. Yellowland is Rogue. No, the original Luffy. We're gonna move him to not playable. He could be playable probably, but he's probably not playable anymore. Meta adjacent, red purple Luffy. I'd probably put him somewhere in this range right here. Marco is meta adjacent now, but he's easily gonna go up here. But in terms of like red purple Luffy and why like I'm saying that is that like he's kind of in the same position Marco's in. He's waiting on support, but when he gets a support in 09, like this leader's gonna be cracked, bro. They're both kind of like in the same conversation. He just has to wait a set. Because when he gets like access to Yassup and the Gum Giant counter card, bruh, this guy's about to like bust through some cages. Get like Sanji's crazy in him. The Dawn -2 910 Luffy's crazy in him. Because you get to draw a card and pressure life. It's like a better dragon for him. Even though like dragon buffs him, like swinging 10 is just like crazy. And then like at 9 Dawn, you basically get to take Dawn away. And then the 2 Dawn it takes away, right? And then you get to bring one of those back at 10. And you could still make him at 8-10, right? So it's like actually stronger than that. Excuse me. Though with Dragon, when you play for 8 at 10 Dawn, you could probably also make your leader make it 9-10. So but you don't draw the card, which is why I think it's like crazy. And additionally, with the homeboy, he can play Gear 5, which shatters several matchups, both in the top end and up here, and then with whatever is going on back below him. So like Nami cannot survive Take a Turn Luffy. You put her in a low light position and you take a turn, you're just losing. For now, we're gonna put Kid at the top of Can Win Locals. This guy can move up if someone cracks the list. Uda, meta adjacent and waiting. She's in the lobby waiting to be 100%. Once she gets there, she's gonna be broken. Zoro, Sanji at the bottom of Can Win Locals. This guy is just basically trying to play Dofi, but getting more value out of it. And he does do his own unique thing. But Dofi's a 5 life leader and is just as aggressive as this guy is. While playing more bodies to the board for cheap. So, yeah, and he doesn't have to return a card to his hand to get the aggression. Radio Subo is meta adjacent. This leader is broken, is getting more broken, and only got more support. Yeah, he's really good. I should probably say this. I should probably put him down here at the top. Is he better than Carrot? I don't know if he's better than Carrot. We'll say he's a little bit worse than Carrot. Charles in the meta. I had him at the bottom of here anyway. It is probably up here. But Red Yellow Sabo is obnoxious. This deck has like basically infinite life. I'm not even kidding. I've played against Bonnie and like literally there was a game against Bonnie I had like 8 life. And I was just asking my opponent to like attack enemy and flood the board triggers. Ace is Rogue, and I'm putting him at the bottom of Rogue because I am absolutely tired of this deck on the sim. If you guys want to this is the last thing I'll say. I don't mean to be mean when I say this, right? But playing this deck is a waste of time. Okay, his strategy is way too inconsistent. He is a 4-life leader. He does not get the benefits of, like, having access to anything that people already don't have access to, right? Like, that this guy already doesn't do better, or that this young lady doesn't do better, or that he doesn't do better, or that this guy's not already trying to do better. You get completely rushed down. There is nothing you can do. Like, your ace flips into whatever play, swing 9 just is, it's like you being a 7K leader and swinging 9 every turn is like cool, but you can only do that so many times, and it's a consistency issue because, again, much like Black Yellow Luffy, you need to see the correct bodies to go with him, and then the correlating effects off of that aren't always great. So this clown is somewhere about excuse me, about right here. I think that overall every single one of these decks are better than him minus Lucci. This is the only deck up here that's above him that for sure he does not win. Like, this is like dog doo-doo for him. But Zoro, Pudding and Grab Blade, way too many bodies way too quickly and can just kill you way too fast or drain your hand in near zero. Favored, you're dead, and play Zoro and will also make your life awful. On to probably what I'm going to play for black from now on. ST14 Luffy. I did not think this leader was good. I am severely mistaken. Stand down, Lucci. This leader is cracked, okay? And he's cracked because he does what she does, which is like 1-for-1 removal, but he hard counters both of them. He even hard counters Grab Blade, which is when something you stop and think about is actually crazy. So if he gets like staged and attaches a Dawn to him, the Sanjis cannot get bottom decked by Grab Blade because they're buffed. If this dude gets a 8 cost on the board and it sticks, he is swinging 7 every turn. So my Kata players out here, take some notes. He also gets to just play mass removal. Several things that are good for him, right? Like Kuzan, for example. You can make him a 5 cost, which makes like the math for KOing. Like Lucci, for example, cannot just swing and play Kaku and get rid of a Kuzan. Furthermore, this effect with Dawn attached to him gives him 6,000 through the next turn, which is crazy. So he's a 6K on your opponent's turn on top of it. And this is all before some of the most insane minus effects that exist that I've ever seen. For example, Robin comes in, is just a flat -5 to something. That is crazy. Brooke then just gets a ton of value, play 4 of it. I think this is the Liverpool list, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, this is Liverpool list because he's playing 3 stage, 3 Ice Age, 3 Sanjis. Is 51? It is. Yeah, this is exactly the Liverpool top 16 list. It's nuts. It's nuts. Might cut a Borso for a Sabo. But it's really good. It's really good. It doesn't look like it does much, but as soon as like this hits the board, and you realize all the costs of these cards go up, it gets pretty annoying. So he even counters blue with like his 5 cost cards, like the Sanji here, for example, right? Will become a 7 with this stage, giving it +1 and a Dawn attached to the leader, meaning Grab Blade cannot hit this to the bottom of the deck, which is just nuts. He's also boosting the cost of all these cards. So, for example, with Kuzan, they can't just brook Kuzan off the board if there's a Dawn attached to the leader, because all of your characters get +1. And this is huge for your top end. Your Ishos, your Geckos, and your Sabo here are all 9 cost cards. This can make Lucci's math like really, really funky. And then furthermore, like your Straw Hat Crew cards, your Brook here, your Sanji, and Robin, they just get really, really big. So it's pretty cool. We'll go back to lobby so we can finish it out with our nice, calm One Piece music. Structure Uda, Rogue, that guy, I don't know, dude. This card, I feel like this leader may be good one day. I like his draw effect. May win locals, Sakazuki. There's a lot of people who are trying to make this leader good, like make Sakazuki good again. It's just really difficult to. This is going to, oh, I said Rogue. That's unplayable, and this is ban worthy. Can't play this leader. Sanji. We'll talk a little about 9. He's probably going to be up here. Shanks is also going to be S tier. Lim is probably going to be meta adjacent. Buggy is meta adjacent. Purple Black Luffy is S tier. Robin's going to be S tier. Blackbeard will be S tier. And all these decks will, I think, be the first set to actually power creep the game. If you're not aware of like how crazy all the decks are, let me explain it to you. This leader right here beats the following leaders: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of these leaders solo lose to him. It is so serious. Like, the matchup is awful. Why? His base leader effect shuts every top end card out in the game for them. Unlike this guy, which he can also hinder him too, but he can go wide enough that like you're just kind of getting ran over, dude. Also, same thing with him. He can also nullify like the on-play effects of like Chopper and everything else. His ability to also, when he plays a 10-12 and to like negate certain cards, is going to be crazy. But I think Zoro's wide can get his board too wide quickly to really do anything. She is the hardest counter to him in the game, which is crazy. Like, they made Blackbeard and then they made the hardest counter. But if you don't know, Robin swings for Banish. And when she hits your life, that means it goes to the trash. And then she has another, it's like 6 cost card that just, for some reason, trashes your life if you're at 3 or more. And then she can ramp by pitching a trigger on attack. So don't know why they decided that that was a good idea to put on a card, but they did. And this leader is going to be completely snapped because she can ramp and she just absolutely hard counters this. Because he hard counters on play, Gecko won't be good, Lucci won't be good, ST14 won't be good, Perona won't be good, Anel won't be good, Black Yellow Luffy will not be good. The reason why Black Yellow Luffy will not be good is because Gecko Moria will die. Literally every single turn, Blackbeard will just pitch a card from hand, and this deck is completely unplayable. All the people who are like, you could ban Moria and still play that. Why don't you sit down and play 50 games against Blackbeard and find out? It's not going to happen, dude. You're going to win like maybe 5 of them. Then this guy is cracked. He is like hyper ramp to Gear 5 Luffy. And is really good. He is also extremely hard countered by Blackbeard, but can still do some stuff. Like, he has winning chances. These two are going to be probably like my favorite leaders to play of all time with this one. I will literally play probably only these three leaders. One, like all these other leaders that I play, you will pale compared to these three. I will literally rip all my decks apart to play Blackbeard, Luffy, and this. But yeah, Black Purple Luffy is super strong. He's just got a lot of really good tools and has a really strong game plan. He also like has like pseudo hints of this leader, so he can play like Sanji and buff Sanji so his effect can KO cards. It's pretty neat. Buggy is actually good. In case you're not aware, he actually is, and he is also an extremely hard counter to Blackbeard. Why is Buggy a hard counter to Blackbeard? Because if Blackbeard ever activates his effect to negate on plays, Buggy can play his 10-12 cost for free. Or for 5 Dawn. The effect of the 10-12 to bottom deck itself is an on-play effect. And it is like literally one giant sentence of on-play text. So this means when Blackbeard nullifies it, he just literally uninhibited gets to every turn for 5 Dawn and play a 10-12. And it feels awful. Now, that being said, if they don't have it in hand, this effect counters a lot of what he wants to do, but he's still okay with getting the value of putting bodies on the board. And he will, if he has the ability, play his 10-12 down. Lim has some legs under her. A lot of people thought she was going to be trash. She is definitely not. From the limited testing that I have played against her, she seems rather annoying, but unfortunately, like, I play black, and so I KO a lot of stuff. Blackbeard can also get rid of a lot of her cards, too. Blackbeard's going to be, like, even worse KO, but yeah, it's all going to be funky and weird. But he plays a lot of other really strong tools like Jack and stuff that these other decks are going to have access to. And that's going to give her a hard time. Removal is just never good for her. Even if she gets Zoro on the board, like other green decks like Bonnie, for example, will just be able to stun the Zoro. And it's just going to feel really bad. Carrot probably is one of the hardest counters to her of all time. But she can do a lot if you can't remove her board, and that means that she can generate a lot of value with a lot of blockers and a lot of pressure quickly. So, like, make no mistake, she's going to be good. And then my man, the one, the only, the GOAT, Shanks. The GOAT, the godlike overseer, the alpha, the train, the GOAT. The greatest of all time, Shanks. Yeah, I am so excited for this leader. He's exactly what I want out of a red character. Yeah, not what these scumbags are doing. Okay, with like rush BS. I want show me some like red control, baby. It's one of the reasons why like I'm gonna probably play the dog out of Marco, like when the structure deck comes out. His effect is really strong. It's basically like a free Bonnie effect every turn. You get to just basically minus 1,000 to add a character on attack. Which, if you're not aware, for the record, is really busted. Because there are certain like attack patterns your opponent just cannot do. Much like Bonnie. So he has that effect on the game. Furthermore, his like in archetype cards are all insane. All of them. I didn't even realize like what we were missing when we got the like initial wave of stuff on the sim. And then Silver's Rayleigh is basically a queen. They're the ham guy, the guy who's always eating ham, like in the Red Hat crew, is a Pedro, which basically on KO, and he's a blocker, and on KO, KO's a 6,000 or less. Ben Beckman, it has to be one of the nastiest cards this game's ever seen, trashing a 6K or less. This pseudo just throws Borsalino like out the window. His 10-12 cost card is also crazy. Not the one that we play currently here in Red Purple Luffy, but the new one where it's minus 1,000 to your opponent's board, period. Like, bruh, that is so devastating. And of course, he's going to be able to play Goldie Roger, which can, if your opponent has a blocker, like for example, Blackbeard cannot go to 0 against Shanks if they have Goldie Roger in hand and then play their 10-12 and think they're fine, because what's going to happen is they're going to play Goldie Roger and swing 13. You cannot block, and then you just lose. Because if you attempt to block with Gold Roger on the board, you lose. It's kind of cool, right? And he has a really, really strong game plan all the way up it. Yasa making him a 6K is crazy because of his actual leader effect. People are going to lose games off the Yasa passive to give him 1,000 alone. And he has, he's also going to be able to play the 8-cost Rayleigh to KO cards. One thing that I think is actually super strong with Rayleigh and Ben Beckman is his stage. His stage to rest and give something on minus 1,000 is basically like a pseudo Ennis lobbies for Lucci. But with Rayleigh, like, that's busted. Because, like, if at 10 Dawn, for example, if you played Fire Fist, that, and Rayleigh's effect, that is an 8,000 powered character trashed. Like, they're just basically KO'd right there. Another character is then going to get its effects, its power reduced by 2,000, and if it's rested, it's going to be feasted on. And like, you get where I'm going with this. Like, it's really, really powerful. Shanks is just, he's honestly crazy. And if you have a healthy life and can play like multiple 10-12 Shanks, your opponent cannot play the game. Like, they are just toast. So yeah, that's my quick brief review. And this deck is an abomination that should have never existed, but thank God Sanji's finally good, I guess. We'll take it. But this guy's got some crazy, crazy things going for him. He can activate main to give something without on-play rush for the turn. The cards that effect works on is nuts. Like, Banish, 8-10 Luffy, Warple, which is crazy, is a rare from OP-08. That has an effect for Dawn ×1, give him plus 2,000, and another card on the board minus 2,000. Yeah, it's just busted. And he's a 6K attacking card, so that's like a 9K with rush immediately. And yet, this is going to be another deck that faces Nami out, and that slower decks, like my girl Pudding, won't be able to handle. So, yeah. It's an hour long. That's every leader, I think, in the entire game, guys. And my opinions on it. Let me know what you guys think about this tier list down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. Let me know what you're playing in 08. If this doesn't absolutely frighten you of possibilities of meta leaders, I don't know what does. This is way too many leaders. Yeah, look at all the other very playable leaders. There's never been a better time to play this game, people. So, yeah. That's it for this one. I will catch you guys in the next one. And this is Marcus from TCG Discussion signing off. Laters.